Greetings. My name is Gay McDougall, and in 2005 I was appointed to serve as the first independent expert on minority issues by the High Commissioner for Human Rights. I served for 3 years, and then I'm happy to say that my mandate was renewed by the full Human Rights Council in 2008. I'm really sorry that I can't be there with you today because you're talking about two subjects that I think are very, very important. First, you're going to be talking about minorities and the way persons who belong to ethnic or racial, religious, or linguistic minorities, how they should be seen and placed and interacted with in development processes. And secondly, you're going to be talking about national institutions on human rights that I think play a critical role in the promotion and protection of human rights in general, and the role that these institutions can play and should be playing in development processes and in the rights, in protecting the rights of minorities. As the first person to hold the mandate on minority issues, I've had the responsibility, and also it's been a unique opportunity to shape the mandate, to determine the issues that would be the priority for the mandate, and to begin to shape the working methods used by the mandate. In approaching these issues, it was clear to me from the outset that the most overwhelming impediment faced by minority groups is poverty. In every region of the world where you find long-standing endemic discrimination against a minority group, that group will also be the poorest of the poor. There is an undeniable link between discrimination and poverty. Economic exclusion is the most devastating form that discrimination can take, and racial barriers to economic advancement can be intractable. They can impact on generation after generation, and they defy the otherwise tried and true approaches designed to lift every boat as an approach to economic development. Discrimination is simply not rational, certainly not within the context of economic development. And I found that the situation of minorities can be misunderstood and is often overlooked by well-meaning development specialists. One good example is that in the development of the Millennium Development Goals and the whole approach to focusing the world's attention on poverty, ending poverty, poverty alleviation. But in that approach, in the 8 original goals and the over 40 original indicators, there was no thought about the impact of discrimination. There was no requirement that progress be inclusive of all within a country, or that data on progress be disaggregated so it could reveal any horizontal inequalities that exist within societies. So, as I'm sure you have heard many times, countries could reach the goals, like cutting poverty in half by 2015, while never affecting the situation of those most desperately poor in their countries. Now, thankfully, the summit that has taken place here in New York this past week, the summit on the MDGs, has to some degree taken up these issues. Not sufficiently, but to some degree. So my decision when I started my mandate was that I would call attention to these issues of poverty and minorities. And that then led me directly to building a relationship and a partnership between my mandate and UNDP, where I found all of the elements required to make a difference in this regard. Found highly skilled and experienced professionals who were already a step far ahead of me and were already totally committed to these objectives. I found an institution with global reach, right down to a presence in some of the most poverty-ridden, the poorest communities on the globe. So my decision when I started my mandate was that I would call attention to these issues. And that decision then led me directly to building a relationship and a partnership between my mandate and UNDP, where I found all of the elements required to make a difference in this regard. I found the experienced and skilled professionals that all of you are at UNDP, and already a step ahead of me on these issues and already very committed to these objectives. I found an institution with a global reach that reached right down to being a presence on the ground in the poorest communities around the globe. And, of course, I found a institution with a cross-sectoral approach. The resource guide, Marginalized Minorities in Development Programming, is a concrete product of that collaboration. And I am extremely proud to be associated with it. It is comprehensive, thoughtfully organized, and action-oriented. And I predict that it's going to become a standard for professionals and practitioners in this field in a wide array of organizations far beyond the boundaries of UNDP. Of course, you know, the resource guide is just a beginning. Implementation is the most important part of the initiative, and that implementation begins with your workshop, begins with your work. It begins today. Now, I just want to say a few words about national institutions on human rights. I think that many of my colleagues who are mandate holders would join me in saying that national human rights institutions have become really very central to our work and our effectiveness. We regularly consult with national institutions before fact-finding missions. We keep in touch with them during the course of our country visits. And after we leave country, we refer back and forth and confer back and forth with the national institution as a trusted source for fact-checking of our reports and as a sort of a sounding board for the viability of recommendations that we may be trying to develop and shape. We use to cross-check information that we use in our procedure of communications when there is need for urgent action to be taken. And so, national institutions are becoming more and more a central partner in our work. And they play an advocacy role in seeking implementation of the resolutions and the recommendations put forward by mandate holders, and in monitoring progress toward full implementation by governments. So national institutions can have the legitimacy, and they certainly do have the proximity to really make things happen on the ground. And that's what we all want. That's what we all are aiming for. That's what we all need. Finally, let me say that there is no group of people out there that are more isolated, more lacking in power, less educated as a group, or more misunderstood than minority women. No one speaks for her. And generally, I found that she is the hardest to reach and to reach out to. When we visualize poverty today, the picture is that of a woman of color. Yet I think that she is the key to the future that we are all working for. So I urge you in your workshop and beyond in the daily work that you do to put extra effort into reaching out to minority women and getting to understand the issues that they face, the obstacles in the way of their full empowerment, and to find as many ways as possible to make them the center of the work that you do. Again, I regret that I'm not able to be there with you today, but I look forward to hearing details of your work and the outcomes, and maybe at a future date I'll be able to visit you on the ground in the countries where you are serving to get to understand from your point of view how the resource guide is functioning to progress your work. Thank you.